of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are NC.
As the Royals get ready for the All-Star break, they can look back on a young bullpen that has been perhaps the Royals' biggest bright spot and surprise from the first half. And after 5 1/3 scoreless innings last night, the Royals are in position to enter the break with a split against the Detroit Tigers. Game 4 is next on Fox Sports Kansas City. At the moment, the Royals' hottest hitter at Kauffman Stadium is Alex Gordon. He has a 12-game hitting streak, and that is appropriate because it is the hottest day of the year at Kauffman Stadium. It's Kids Day as the Royals host the Detroit Tigers. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Royals Hall of Famer Frank White. I'm Ryan Lefevre, and it's said so often that baseball is a game of opportunities. You either create your own opportunities, or in the case of last night's game, the opposing team presents you with opportunities.
And you really take advantage of them by how you go about that at bat, or if it's on the bases, still in the base. Whatever they give you, you're able to take advantage of it and use it to win ball games.
And the Royals' opportunities came very early last night.
Well, they sure did. Back here in the second inning, a potential ground ball double play. Escobar does a great job hustling down the line to beat this throw back to first base, and Wilson Bettamy scored on this, and then Billy Butler was able to take advantage of that by driving in 2 runs with a single to left field.
And then in the third inning, perhaps the biggest opportunity for the Royals with 2 outs. Matt Trainer walks. Matt Trainer steals second base. And then what looked like the end of the inning, a routine ground ball to Ramon Santiago gets through him. So the inning is still alive with 2 outs. Chris Getz drives in a run with a base hit. Melky Cabrera does the same thing, and then the big blow, Alex Gordon with a 3-run home run to center field, 5 unearned runs for the Royals.
And things continued in the 6th innings for the Royals. Frenchie was safe on an error by Ryan Rayburn down the right field line, and Billy Butler was able to go to third base. And then Bettamy, after being intentionally walked, Butler was scored on a sac fly to right field by Matt Trainer. And the big blow in that 6th inning was Escobar 2-run triple in the left center field.
So because of bad defense, the Tigers allowed 8 unearned runs last night. The Royals won by 7. On the flip side, this series has been very good for the Royals defensively.
It really has. Moose does a great job cutting down the runner at the plate on a ground ball. And here Escobar does a super job on the fourth side at second base on a great play in the hole. And Melky Cabrera saves a run with a diving catch in the right center field.
Those plays are on Thursday. Then on Friday, Melky Cabrera throwing out Alex Avila, trying to stretch a single into a double. 9 outfield assists for Melky. And then a guy not known for his defense, known for his fastball. Look at Tim Collins going up and getting a force out at second base.
Well, in last night's game, you saw more defense. You saw Chris Getz going up high to take a line drive, base hit away, and there's Escobar with a great diving catch to his right. A near double play, didn't get it made, but it was a great play on his part, and Mitch Meyer entered the game late and made a great play against the wall in right field.
On the mound today for the Royals is Jeff Francis. He hasn't won in exactly 1 month, and all he has to do today is beat Justin Verlander and the Tigers. We'll take a look at the lineup that he will see this afternoon when we come back. you play, students win. And July is National Ice Cream Month. Celebrate with Bluebell's newest flavor, Dessert Trio. So here is that Tigers lineup that will be facing Jeff Francis today.
But they got the big guys back in there today for this last game before the All-Star break. Miguel Cabrera, Johnny Peralta, Alex Avila in the game tonight. And Brandon Inge, after having a night off last night, is back in the game at third base.
And take a look at the Royals with the leather this afternoon. No changes in the outfield, but on the infield, Mike Moustakas got the day off yesterday, so he's back at third base. Matt Traynor played last night, so Brian Pena gets to catch today on this hot, sunny day in Kansas City. And the Royals are going up against Justin Verlander. Leads the majors with 18 quality starts. His ERA in his last 8 starts is under 1. It's the Royals and the Tigers, and the first pitch is next. To you by Time Warner Cable. Get no fee HD with digital TV from Time Warner Cable. Out to right field, and let's welcome in Joe Goldberg.
Well, Ryan, just saw Justin Verlander walk out from the bullpen. That's what Royals hitters will face today. Hottest pitcher in baseball. I mentioned Alex Gordon this morning. I said, get a guy on in the first and then hit a home run, Alex, and you'll do something no one's done since June 4th against Verlander. And he said, what's that? And I said, score 2 runs. He turned to Mitch, and he said, Mitch Meyer, what do you always say? And he said, he's due, so hopefully they can get those runs. By the way, it's a little hot out here. Donnie, how much weight are you planning on losing today?
10, 11 pounds.
10, 11, something like that. Maybe I'll sit out here and we can lose 22 together. Guys?
It won't be difficult. How about that? Donnie Miller's got his own fan club here. And everybody, not just Joel and Donnie, will have their hands full today with the weather. It is scorching hot at Kauffman Stadium. And, of course, this is summer in Kansas City, but it's always a bit of a shock when we get the first day like this. Here's the key report on Jeff Francis, 3-9 this year. He is making his 19th start, and his second against the Tigers. Took a loss back on May the 14th. Francis has not won since June the 10th, so exactly a month. However, he has allowed 3 earned runs or less in 4 of his last 5 starts, but only 1 win over that stretch. And he's pitched much better at Kauffman Stadium this year than he's pitched on the road.
Well, Ryan, Jeff needs a night like Luke had last night where the Royals come out and score a bunch of runs early and let him relax. And he's been a guy that's been able to weather those tough innings, get deep in the game for the Royals. So he would benefit greatly by getting a bunch of runs, but Verlander won't make that easy.
And a bunch of runs early translates to 9 runs in the first 3 innings for the Royals last night against Charlie Furbush. Casper Wells, and we might see a lot of that today for a couple of reasons. Number one, nobody wants to stand out in this heat any longer than they have to. And number two, everybody is looking forward to the All-Star break.
You're right about that, and you just want to stay aggressive through this day because you don't want to let up. But if it was AstroTurf out there, you had a guy throwing strikes, it'd be a good day for you. If not, how fast can you get him out of the game?
Tigers have been filling in the leadoff spot for the past 3 games. Austin Jackson out with a sore left wrist. He had 1 at bat on Thursday and then pulled from the game, and Jim Leyland said he would not hit for the rest of this series and then through the All-Star break. Pulled on the ground to Escobar, so a ground ball out. Good start for Jeff Francis. .95 degrees and going up. Game started at 1:12. Time and temp brought to you by the parking spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCI. Right now the heat index is at 105, and some forecasts calling for a heat index of over 110 today.
Now stock up on the water and find some shade if you can.
Three hits, 3 RBIs for Brennan Bosch in the series. 2 of those RBIs coming last night against Luke Hochevar. 2 balls and no strikes. Those arms are going to have to work in shifts. The left arm for a while, back to the right arm.
Well, they definitely had an idea when they came to the ballpark. A lot of people who like the sun, and this would be like a day at the beach if you're sitting in lower bowl today. But I would suggest, maybe taking an inning or 2 in there and moving back in the back, get some shade, and try to stay as refreshed as possible.
Now there's a fellow there who doesn't have his shirt on, and I brought this up many times that, and I'm not picking on him, there are several here today that decide today is the day they're going to work on their tan, and they come to the game, they take their shirt off in the first inning, and they sit back and they think this is great. It's always a good idea to keep an eye on some of those guys over the course of the game and just see the different shades that their skin goes through.
Yeah, the key is knowing when to get out of it. Sometimes if you're drinking beer, you kind of forget. It makes a big difference.
Bosch was on his way to first. Phil Cuzzy pulls him back, and Francis has his first strikeout.
Jeff off to a good start here right in this game. He pitched the ball right on the inside corner, and that's what you have to do when you're Jeff Francis. That dominating fastball, you got to work both sides of the plate.
Ball 1 to Maglio Ordonez, who did not play last night. He had a 2-run home run in the first inning on Friday night off of Kyle Davies. That was his 30th career home run against the Royals. That is in the top 10 as far as home runs against the Royals all time. Jim Thome has the most, 47. Moustakas right on target to Hosmer. So a very good first inning for Jeff Francis. score as we go to the bottom of the first inning. And here's the Royals lineup this afternoon against Justin Verlander.
Chris Getz had a great night last night in that leadoff spot, and he had 2 hits, 2 stolen base, and also scored 2 runs. So he'll be looking to get the Royals going against Justin Verlander today.
And Billy Butler with great numbers against Verlander. Okay, so here are the numbers. Second most wins in the league, second best ERA, most innings pitched, most strikeouts, second best opponent's batting average. And if that's not frightening enough, over his last 8 starts, his ERA is 0.84. He's 7-1, and the loss was a 1-0 game against the Angels, so he was hardly knocked around the ballpark. Opponent's batting average in his last 8 starts below 180.
Be aggressive, go after the first pitch fastball, and try to take away his secondary pitches early.
And Chris Getz jumping on the first pitch. Maglio Ordonez runs it down. Tigers hoping for much better defense today than last night as they committed 2 errors, and those 2 errors led to 8 unearned runs. Alex Avila behind the plate for all 4 games of the series, including the day game today after the night game. So Justin Verlander's on a roll. Melky Cabrera is on a roll. He has an 8-game hitting streak where he is hitting .486. Oh, 0-2. And a curveball got him looking.
You get these 2 hard straight fastballs, you get the 2 strikes, and there's that hard breaking slider that Justin Verlander has. And I think the key to the Royals offense today, Ryan, is they're going to get a fastball to hit. They just can't miss it, and you don't want to get him into where he's throwing his changeup, which is hard to recognize off of his fastball, and then got that hard slider to deal with too.
Well, we'll see how he deals with the heat. I mean, we know he brings the heat, but Verlander, famous for really not losing any velocity as the game goes along, at times seems to get stronger. That was the case for him when he pitched a no-hitter on May the 7th against the Toronto Blue Jays, becoming just the 30th pitcher in history to have more than 1 no-hitter. Still throwing in the upper 90s in the 9th inning. And in the bottom of the first today, 3 up, 3 down with a strikeout. Chris Gilmore of Blue Springs, Missouri, and he is one of the winners this year in the Sprint Suite right above us. That's because he participated in the Sprint You Call It question. And our question today, who is the first half American League Cy Young winner? Jeff Francis with a curveball for a strike to Miguel Cabrera. Alexi Ogando, a big surprise for the Rangers. CC Sabathia always seems to be a Cy Young candidate. Justin Verlander, whom the Royals are facing today, or Jared Weaver, who is the only American League pitcher who has a better ERA than Verlander. Fly ball into shallow right. Francoeur makes the play. So Francis opens the game, retiring the first 4. So text 432-432, enter keyword Royals, a space, then A, B, C, or D. And as we showed you Chris Gilmore upstairs in the Sprint Suite, more reason for you to pay attention to the bounce back text message you'll get when you send yours in with directions on how you can register for a suite. You and 11 guests to a future Royals game. And there it is. It is right above us, so almost directly behind home plate. .66 miles an hour with that last pitch to Victor Martinez, who has been mostly quiet in the series. Just 2 hits and 12 at-bats. He has driven in a couple of runs. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
So far, Jeff's done a good job of changing speeds and really staying down in the zone, and that's a good sign for him, and he's working both sides of the plate.
Two and two. That .317 batting average is the 4th best in the American League. The Tigers have 4 of the top 10 hitters in the league in the lineup today. 2 hops to Moustakas, who made a great play to end the top of the first. 5 up, 5 down against Francis. Calling all ladies. Join us here at Kauffman Stadium Saturday, July 23rd for Girls Night Out, presented by KC Chevy Dealers. The event will feature free massages, mini makeovers, dueling pianos from Hal at the Moon, and the first 10,000 ladies receive a special powder blue KC cap presented by KC Chevy Dealers. Proceeds benefit the American Heart Association, and again, that's Saturday, July 23rd. Johnny Peralta got the night off last night. Grounded to Moustakas. Now a backhand play. And the Royals' good defense carries into today. 2 perfect innings for Francis. the nation's fastest mobile broadband network. By Panera Bread Catering. Order online at PaneraKansas.com. And by Chevy. See your Kansas City area Chevy dealers. Kids are having a great day today. First of all, it is Kids Day. And the first 8,000 kids got that superhero cape courtesy of U.S. Toy. And now they're doing the smart thing, standing close to the fountains. That's a way of cooling off. 95 degrees and climbing at the first pitch today. Now Billy Butler, who has huge career numbers against Justin Verlander. You really can't compare Billy to other hitters facing Verlander because his .394 batting average is the highest of any hitter against Justin Verlander for somebody who has at least 33 at-bats. So I'm sure Billy was a popular guy in the clubhouse with his teammates saying, how do you do it?
Well, I talked to Billy about it last year even. He said, well, I have a knack of being able to work him into a hitting count, but I also have a knack of picking up his changeup.
And another base hit. Got a pitch up 94 miles an hour. You know, what might be even more astonishing than the batting average, .394, was the fact that now in 34 at-bats against Verlander, Billy has struck out once.
Well, this pitch here is out to say, pulls his hands in. This is a 94-mile-an-hour fastball right here. Pulls his hands in, get the bat head of the ball through, and hit him a line drive to left field. I agree with you, Ryan. That is amazing right there. But if you can recognize the guy's off-speed pitches, then you got a chance to put the ball in play. There's no rhyme or reason. It's
0-1 to Hosmer, 0 for his last 9. 1 for 11 in the series. He's also been on base with a couple of walks. Hosmer had just been called up when the Royals faced Justin Verlander back on May the 13th. He was 0 for 3 against Verlander. And Verlander was coming off his no-hitter. He ended up going 8 innings against the Royals and gave up 2 hits. And there was some drama. Everybody wondering who's going to be the next pitcher, if there is one, like Johnny Vandermeer, who is the only one in Major League history with back-to-back no-hitters. And Verlander did not allow a hit to the Royals until 2 outs in the 6th inning. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Here's the 2-2 pitch on the way.
Rajai Davis, the final victim of Verlander back on May the 7th. By the way, he was 1 walk away from a perfect game, and that walk came in the 8th inning against J.P. Arancibia. His first no-hitter was against the Milwaukee Brewers in June of 2000. And the manager for the Brewers that year was Ned Yost.
Just having to face him once would be enough, but having him in the same division, that makes it difficult.
Breaking ball just missed outside. That pitch struck out Melky Cabrera in the 1st inning. Ned was telling a funny story when we were in Detroit prior to the Verlander start, and he said, hey, the guy had no hit stuff, so let me get that out of the way. He said, but it was an odd night because a bunch of seagulls decided to come to Comerica Park. Hosmer down on strikes, and they were flying around. So if the Brewers hitters didn't have their hands full already with Justin Verlander, they were trying to pick up the ball. There's seagulls flying behind, white objects going right to left, up and down. Wow. So we're just a few days away from the Major League All-Star Game coming up on Tuesday, only on Fox, coverage beginning at 7 p.m. And don't forget, you can see a special world premiere sneak preview of the upcoming Fox show the X factor during the broadcast. 0-1 to Jeff Francoeur. Three out of 11 with an RBI in the first 3 games against Detroit. Got it in on his hands. No balls, 2 strikes. Billy Butler opened the inning with a single. And then Verlander struck out Eric Hosmer. And there's a hard slider down and away. And now Verlander has struck out 3. So Verlander 11-2 against the Royals. He had his first major league shutout against KC right here at Kauffman Stadium back in 2006. And he was still throwing 99 in the 9th inning. The Royals did not beat Justin Verlander until they faced him for the 10th time. And Mike Moustakas breaks his bat and gets a base hit. So it's already a good day for him. He has made the best defensive play so far this afternoon. And that bat died a brave death, because that ends an 0 for 21.
Oh man, you got to take him any way you can get him here. And you see Moose, this ball's all above the trademark when he hits it. His bat just splits right down the middle. But he's so strong when he's able to get it out in the right field for a base hit. So you're right, Randy. Anytime you get a base hit and get you going the other way, you'll take it. But that had to hurt.
It doesn't hurt that bad when his last hit was a week ago.
Yes.
Curveball for a strike to Brian Pena. He faces Verlander for the first time. And Brian behind the plate today. That means he has started 3 of the 4 games against the Tigers. Lays off the curve, 1-1. Matt Trainer started last night. He had a productive night with a base hit, a run scored, an RBI, and a stolen base. 2-1. Brian has hit safely in each of his last 4 games. He has Billy Butler at second base, Mike Moustakas at first with 2 outs. Got the call. Verlander has an excellent changeup. So you're talking fastball mid to upper 90s, a good curveball, a good slider, and a good changeup.
And most of the curveballs and changeups will come to left-handed hitters.
Struck him out with a curve. Verlander strikes out the side, and the Royals strand 2. Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. There is the Kevin Shank family, and from left to right, his sister Leslie, his wife Danielle, daughter Madison, daughter Kennedy, and the special guest today is Kevin's mother Lee, who is celebrating her birthday. And as Kevin pointed out, obviously the wisest member of the Shank family, as she is the only one who wore a hat.
Oh boy, I would not be out there in that heat without a hat today, that's for sure.
Jeff Francis has retired the first 6 today, and now Ryan Rayburn, Alex Avila, and Brandon Inge in the third. And Ryan Rayburn, who has struck out 83 times this year, 3 times in this series, is down 0-2.
He has a hard time, just from what we've seen this series, just picking up the breaking ball, and he chases a lot of breaking balls off the plate, and if you make a mistake pitch out over the plate, whether it be a fastball or a breaking ball, he seems to be right on time for it.
Didn't get the call. A little bit outside, according to Phil Cuzzy. Five hits for Rayburn in the first 3 games, including 2 doubles and a home run. Fouls that one off a pole behind home plate. Rayburn did commit an error in the 6th inning last night that led to 3 unearned runs. Tigers allowed 8 unearned runs last night. And Cuzzy will give Jeff Francis that call. So Rayburn strikes out for the 84th time, and it's number 2 for Francis.
Well, Jeff makes a nice pitch going down and in to the inside part of the plate, and Rayburn probably sitting breaking ball, and he's frozen with this fastball.
Now, a call like that at times will frustrate a hitter because they feel like it wasn't an immediate call. There was some hesitation by the umpire. And of course, the hitter wants him to go with his first instinct. But I've always felt like the umpire that takes a split second to really take a look and consider where the pitch was, making sure that he makes the correct call. There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't think so either. And I think you have to look at the way Brian Pena caught that ball, too. And if he gives the umpire a real good look at it, Rayburn might think it's low, but the catcher can really do a good job of holding it right there. If Brian lets his glove go a little bit more to the inside, maybe he thinks the ball's inside, but he does a great job catching and holding in that one spot.
It's going to be a tough day for Phil Cuzzy. He might have the most difficult assignment of anybody today. Both catchers will have the benefit of being able to go to the dugout every half inning, and if they need to change their socks or their shirts. Is that Mike Meyer in there? Okay, no, that's Bruce. But Phil Cuzzy, he's out there for all 9 innings. There is no in-between innings for him, except when a ball boy runs a towel or a bottle of water out to him.
Well, that should be a lot today. When he shows those big balloon chest protectors, they used to really bring a lot of heat with those things.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Avila. Now, you would think Alan Porter, who is normally a minor league umpire, he is a fill-in. You would think that this crew, if they got together and they looked at the schedule, Kansas City, July the 10th, day game, that they would have made such a rotation that he would be behind the plate today.
Rookies, you
right?
know. Yeah, I think you're right.
Alan Porter's at first base right now going, this is great.
No rookie initiation in that group.
Come on, Mom. And a curveball strikes out Alex Avila. So Jeff Francis has knocked down the first 8, and he has 3 strikeouts.
And that curveball here really froze Alex Avila. I mean, tried to turn his body into it, but it had a late break to it, and then caught the inside corner. With 2 strikes, you really can't afford to be taking that pitch right there. You got to try to foul it off.
It was Avila's first career at bat against Francis, so he hadn't seen that curveball before, at least the Francis version of the curveball. 0-1 now on Brandon Inge. Today is a carsoup.com email the booth day, so go to carsoup.com/Royals. Once you're there, CarSoup will ask you for your zip code. Fill that in. You'll be sent to a different page, and then go ahead and submit your question, which she is doing right now. Joel Goldberg will check in with us and pass along some of your questions for today. Two balls and 1 strike to Brandon Inge. Boy, that's going to be a long question. Inge hammers it to center field. Melky is back and runs it down. So it's 3 perfect innings for Jeff Francis. In today's game is Nancy Hauser, the wife of the late Royals manager Dick Hauser, who led the Royals to a World Series championship in 1985, passed away in '87. Nancy continues to champion brain cancer research and support nurses who work with patients battling the disease. Nancy established and continues to support the Dick Hauser Memorial Scholarship at the St. Luke's College of Nursing to support future nurses. Two hits for the Royals in the second inning against Verlander, but Verlander ended up striking out the side. So Alcides Escobar leads off the third, showing bunt, pulling the bat back and taking a strike. Escobar with 1 hit in the series. Still, it's been a very productive series for him. That 1 hit was a 2-run triple. And overall, he has driven in 3 in the series. He was at the plate for 2 of the biggest plays last night, and we showed you at the beginning of the broadcast both of those plays, hustling to avoid a ground ball double play, which eventually led to a 3-run second inning. And then with 2 outs and a runner at first, his ground ball got through shortstop Ramon Santiago and led to a 5-run inning. Very defensive swing to stay alive, and it's still 1-2.
Yeah, Verlander would be a hard guy to guess with. You you got that 95 to 100-mile fastball that he has, and he's got 2-3 other pitches he throws. His changeup, curveball, slider. So it's hard to sit on one pitch with him. And you can see why that you see that defensive swing when you get, especially when you get the 2 strikes.
He has struck out 4 already today, and that gives him 142 this year. That leads the American League, and now Escobar has fouled off 4 in a row. Nice catch right below us, out in front of the Diamond Club. Oh, I thought he was going to put it in the bucket of beer. Phil Cuzzi is calling that a foul ball. Escobar is claiming it hit him in the elbow.
That fastball had a lot of run to it.
Well, it looked like Phil Cuzzi wasn't going to allow Royals trainer Nick Kenny to take a look at Alcides Escobar. Oh, that hit him on the arm.
Yeah, right on the elbow, right below his pad there. Probably sounded like wood, but
it's not even close.
Not even close.
So today the elbow is part of the bat.
No help.
That's that's the one.
I mean, you can ask the first base umpire and the second base umpire.
If Phil Cuzzi is completely convinced that Alcides Escobar was hit by a pitch, okay, fine. But to not ask the other 3 guys, I mean, because that's not even close. It's one thing if it hits him on the hand and it's very close to the knob of the bat, but 7 inches, 8 inches, 9 inches away from the bat.
That's unbelievable. The first base umpire should have been the one asked to see, what did he see on that particular play.
And you won't let the trainer come out and take a look at his arm?
Doesn't make you look good. I mean, you should have a mark. I mean, you get hit that hard with a fastball like that. Even though you got that little sleeve on, there should have been a mark right there on his arm underneath that. You just hope it doesn't pose a problem in his throwing when he, as the game progresses.
Well, he ends up driving it to left center field. Run down by Bosch. It was a 10-pitch at bat with 6 foul balls. And Escobar, being a true professional, the play is over. He's not going to object anymore with Phil Cuzzi, but I'm sure Phil Cuzzi will find out soon enough that that was a missed call. Let's update our Sprint You Call It question for today. Who is the first half American League Cy Young winner? If we did vote for that award, here are the accomplishments of Alexio Gondo, CC Sabathia, Justin Verlander, and Jared Weaver. Ball went outside to Chris Getz. What do you think?
Wow. I'm still a big Justin Verlander fan. I think he's, all those guys are great, but I'm going to stay with him.
2 balls and no strikes on Getz. There's further evidence that Escobar was hit by the pitch. I mean, we saw it by way of the replay, and if Phil Cuzzi thinks that it hit the bat, then obviously there was some sort of a cracked sound. So if there is a cracked sound, then it was ball on bone.
Yeah, it's all bone in that area right there. And Escobar's not a very big guy anyway.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
You know, after he called that a foul ball, you can see the shocked look on Escobar's face.
Getz rolls out to Rayburn, 2 down in the 3rd inning. And now Melky Cabrera with 2 outs and nobody on, and we'll look at today's league leaders, brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. Most outfield assists, which includes the Royals' entire outfield. Alex Gordon leads the American League with 13. Jeff Francoeur 3rd with 10, and then Melky Cabrera 4th with 9. And Cabrera has that 9th outfield assist in this series.
Yeah, you take Adam Jones and Melky Cabrera. You know, normally center fielders over the course of a year don't get as many assists as the corner guys, but those guys are right up in the middle of things being center fielders, so that's even more impressive.
1-1 to Melky. Struck out in the 1st inning. Verlander got him looking at a curveball, and Melky just 3 out of 18 in his career against Justin Verlander. Well, that might have been the fastball you're talking about. It's not in the middle of the plate, but it's a fastball that's in the strike zone.
I mean, he's like most pitchers. You still have to work off your fastball, so you're gonna get fastball command. That's what he's gonna shoot for first, and you know, he just tried to keep it out of the middle of the plate, and he gets those foul balls, and now you work yourself into a count where you have to go to those secondary pitches.
Still 1 ball, 2 strikes. Verlander was named to the All-Star team, but there's a rule, a major league rule, that if a pitcher starts on Sunday before the All-Star game, he cannot pitch in the All-Star game. Doesn't matter how the pitcher feels or what his opinion is. It is a rule, so Verlander cannot pitch that day. So Michael Pineda, the talented and impressive rookie pitching for the Seattle Mariners, will take his roster spot.
Well, that didn't used to be the case. You know, those guys used to be able to give you an inning on Tuesday.
Chop to Peralta, and that's the inning. So a good pitcher's duel so far. No score at the end of 3. Megabits per second of pure online power. The power today coming from Justin Verlander. Jeff Francis with a finesse approach, and that's worked in the first 3 innings. 9 up, 9 down with 3 strikeouts. So the Tigers begin their second turn through the order. Casper Wells opened the game with a ground out to short. 1-1. 2 balls, 1 strike. Brennan Bosch after Casper Wells, followed by Maglio Ordonez. And that's drilled to deep left field. It will sail over Alex Gordon's head and up against the chain link. Alex gets it back to the infield as quickly as he can, but Wells opens the inning with a double. His second double of the series. Well, the Royals' next homestand will begin on Friday. And on Tuesday, July 19th, the Royals will take on the Chicago White Sox. It's our next T-shirt Tuesday. The first 10,000 fans will receive that T-shirt presented by Hy-Vee. After the break, the Royals will be in Minnesota for 4. And the White Sox in Kansas City for 3. And the Tampa Bay Rays for 3. Today would have been a very good day for a T-shirt.
I agree.
Exhibit A. It'll be the shower tonight.
Oh, it will hurt.
Hit hard off of Get's glove into right field. So after retiring the first 9, Jeff Francis gives up back-to-back hits in the 4th, and the Tigers lead 1-0. Brennan Bosch drives in his 4th of the series.
He hits this ball really hard. I mean, it's a breaking ball that stayed up, and Chris Getz couldn't get it corralled to his left. This ball was really stung off the bat of Brennan Bosch. It just went right off the thumb of Chris Getz' glove. And you see Casper Wells just trots home on that base hit. That's just 2 pitches Jeff left up this inning. And a curveball to Wells, he hit for a double, and another breaking ball up in the zone there to Bosch.
Now Ordonez to right field. So he is 0 for 2. That's the first out of the inning. Miguel Cabrera flied out to Francoeur in right field in the second. 2 for 12 in the series with 1 RBI. That's stunning enough to turn the fountains off.
Against the Royals for sure. They're in that stretch of 37 games in 38 days, and they may be a little more of a fatigue factor for that team too. They really got to push themselves to get through this last game of this series. That's a lot of games in a row without a day off.
Two balls and 1 strike. And another fly ball to right field. So twice Cabrera has flied out to Francoeur, 2 down in the 4th.
Well, Jeff Francis done a good job just running that fastball down and away, changeup down and away, and forcing Cabrera to reach for it and hit a lazy fly ball to right.
Victor Martinez grounded out to third in the second inning. He is just 2 out of 13 in the series. And a curveball is low. Casper Wells opened the inning with a double. Brennan Bosch singled him home, and now Francis has retired Ordonez and Cabrera, working his way through the middle of the Tigers batting order. 1-1. Victor Martinez, before the game yesterday, was out in left field throwing batting practice to his son, who was also a switch hitter. He was about the same height as the bat, just a little guy, but he could swing it from both sides of the plate, just like his father, who is more than a switch hitter. He truly is ambidextrous. I remember when he was with the Cleveland Indians, he would often play catch just to show off left-handed. And if you didn't know he was right-handed, you would think that he was naturally a left-hander.
Well, George Brett was that way too. There were times he'd get on the mound and pretend he was Jim Cott and some of the other left-handers in the league, and he throws pretty good left-handed.
I would think that would come in handy when a hitter is trying to switch hit. No real dominant hand. Let's see. Do I want to throw right-handed or do I want to throw left-handed?
Remember a relief pitcher, Greg Harris? He could throw both ways.
Did it in one game.
Yes.
Still 2-2.
Francis lives outside for the most part. Anytime he throws something into the right-handed hitters, it kind of catches them off guard because they're so conditioned to being out over the plate, even off the plate by maybe 1 or 2 baseballs sometimes. So anything coming into the right-hander seems to be effective so far in this game.
And now 3 balls, 2 strikes. So Brennan Bosch will be running with the next pitch. And just pulled foul outside of third base. Brennan Bosch wrapping up another very good first half, as he did last year, and then fell to pieces in the second half. He's running, and Martinez slices it to right. Francoeur runs it down. All 3 outs in the inning to Francoeur in right. The Tigers take a 1-0 lead. Bottom of the fourth inning, and we remind you to look for the Miller Lite Taste Greatness moment later in today's game. And with Alex Gordon leading off the fourth, we go to Joe Goldberg.
Well, Ryan, getting ready for the All-Star break, and Aaron Crow getting his All-Star jersey here before the game. That's not the only thing he's getting today. He's getting a nice lift to Arizona for the All-Star game. Justin Verlander has rented a plane, and he's taking teammates Alex Avila, Miguel Cabrera, some family members, and he left the seat as well on the plane for Aaron Crow. Now, I said, how much room on the plane? And he said he was told there were 12 seats, 11 were taken. Now, Johnny Peralta's been added, and I said, are you still good? He said, I hope so. I think so. But Aaron Crow, very appreciative of the lift. I'm told that it's something that Joe Mauer did for Justin Verlander earlier in his career. So a nice gesture by Justin Verlander. We'll see if Crow faces one of those All-Stars later in the game before they hop on the plane together.
All right, thanks, Joel. So that's one way to enjoy the All-Star game. Rent a plane. He can't pitch because of Major League rules. Just kind of sit back, soak it in. He doesn't have to worry about performing on Tuesday.
Well, Ryan, it's just the idea that you can rent a plane. That's good.
I guess what you're saying is that sort of thing didn't happen when you were playing.
No.
Frank, I've rented a plane. We're going to the All-Star game.
Man, you think I'd have did cartwheels? Somebody did that back in the day.
Fastball with some late movement. That strikes out Alex. Verlander has 5, and Alex is 0 for 2. As part of our Fox Sports Supports charitable initiative, we are proud to wear these pins during our 2011 Fox Sports Kansas City season to support Stand Up to Cancer and their work to fund groundbreaking research. For more information, visit standuptocancer.org/Fox Sports. Billy Butler with another line drive against Verlander. This one is going to be caught by Casper Wells. Billy singled in the second inning to make him 14 out of 34 against Verlander, and now even his outs are well hit. 2 away in the fourth inning.
You know, you always have a guy like Billy who you figure you're going to figure out how to get him out. He gets a base hit, he hits a line drive, and as hard as you try as a pitcher not to look in that direction, you always end up going back to that guy at some point.
Billy's going to put a sweatshirt on.
Wow.
Man, Hosmer all geared up for a fastball, and Verlander threw him a changeup. That ball's hit hard to left center, but slicing and back into Bosch. So the Royals are down on 8 pitches in the fourth inning. Sunny, it is humid. We are going to get up into the upper 90s before this game is done, so a perfect day leading into the All-Star break. Everybody can just relax after a day like today. And after last night's game, where 19 runs were scored, a good pitcher's duel today.
And this is kind of what we expected to see from Verlander, but Jeff Francis matching inning per inning, and the game's moving along at a nice pace. I won't say. So it's kind of, I don't want to jinx myself here, but it's a good matchup for the last game of the first half.
Now, in my experiences watching games like this at Kauffman Stadium, and it doesn't match up to yours, you've seen more, played in more, but games like this have to move fast because it seems like every player has a certain tolerance level for the heat, and if it's a long, laborious game, you get to the 7th inning and it seems like everything just falls apart. Errors, wild pitches, 4-pitch walks, and so on days like this, it is so important for the game to move along.
And then there's also timetables too that players think about. A lot of them aren't going back to Detroit on the flight. Some of them are flying to different places, and so there are a lot of things to consider on players' minds today. So they want to actually definitely win the game and have a good game, but they don't want a long, drawn-out affair, like you said. It does drag, and then when it starts dragging, it's the heat. You know, we're on AstroTurf. Guys like extra base hits, but nobody wanted to run a triple in the first inning because it makes for a long night, a long afternoon.
Guys, you know what's interesting too is that usually these players scatter all over the country, going different places for the All-Star break, California, Florida, maybe, you know, somewhere down in the Bahamas or something like that. But because the Royals play on Thursday instead of getting an extra day and playing Friday, a lot of them are just staying here, getting workouts in, hanging out with their families. A lot of them new fathers, so going to spend time with the babies at home. Most of the guys said they were staying. Bruce Chen said he was going back to his home in Arizona, and maybe he'll go root for Aaron Crow. He said he bought All-Star tickets to take his girls to the game, so he's actually going to hang out at the All-Star game. But most of the guys staying in town.
Peralta strikes out. That's 4 for Jeff Francis. One down in the 5th inning. Well, the Royals have been spoiled. We've all been spoiled over the last several years, having the 4-day break. So it seems like we're getting cheated with a 3-day break this year. That one day makes a big difference.
It really does.
Ryan Rayburn struck out in the 3rd inning, and that's pulled off the roof of the Tigers dugout and back into the seats.
You know what I thought I'd see more of on a hot day like this, and the fans that are sitting out in the sun. You know, when you go to the beach, you have a beach towel and everything. But you think with the plastic seating, how hot it gets, I think you see more towels draped around across the back of the seats and try to absorb some of that sweat. But we had those orange plastic seats. Oh man, they had no ventilation under that.
Fans peeling themselves out of their seats to get up and go to a concession stand or when they're ready to go home. And I think just about every shot we've seen of a collection of fans today, there has been cold beverages included. And sombreros,
there you
of course.
Go. Those guys are smart.
They are.
The hat makes them smart.
Another strikeout. Francis has 5. He has struck out Rayburn twice, both looking. Every Wednesday is Ink Student Night and Local Music Showcase. You'll get a $7 game ticket, pregame happy hour specials, and enjoy one of KC's best bands. Coming up on Wednesday, July 20th, music from Making Movies before the Royals take on the White Sox at 7:10. And now a strike to Alex Avila. He also struck out looking his first time. So 5 strikeouts, only 1 swinging. Francis' season high is 6. And Alex Avila simply is not seeing the ball out of Jeff Francis' hand. He struck out looking at a curveball in the third inning, and that was a swing and miss at a curveball.
Yeah, that's what we would call not swinging at a curveball. That's more or less waving at a curveball, because you don't really pick it up. You got a slow, lazy swing through the zone.
Got him looking at the fastball. Set him up with the curve, put him away with the fastball, and Francis has tied his season high. The Tigers will be sending 5 to the All-Star game. So our AT&T trivia question along those lines. The Royals sent 5 players to the All-Star game in 1982. Who were those All-Stars?
Give the fans a chance.
We were given a preview of this question during lunch today, and we came up with the 5. Jeff Francoeur, Mike Moustakas, and Brian Pena against Justin Verlander. And that stroke to center field, a leadoff base hit for Francoeur. He's 1 for 2. That's the Royals' 3rd hit. Verlander had retired 7 in a row.
They started Jeff up with a breaking ball, and they just stayed up long enough to. He's got that swing that he can go down and hit the ball down on the ground, and was able to keep it back through the middle for a line drive. But that breaking ball stayed up a lot longer than Verlander wanted it to.
A changeup is swung on and missed, but Francoeur is going to move up on a wild pitch. That was a big single for Mike Moustakas in the 2nd inning. It put an end to an 0 for 21. If you go by the numbers, this would appear to be the right day for him to put an end to an 0 for 21 going up against Justin Verlander. Moustakas did break his bat into about 5 pieces, but that streak is over. And a chance to drive in Francoeur and tie the game here in the 5th. Lays off the slider. This one blocked by Avila. 1 ball, 1 strike.
kind of smart pitching right there. You start with a changeup inside, and even if it goes for a wild pitch, Moustakas chases it, then you come right back with a slider in the same spot and try to get him to chase that pitch too. So you're just trying to figure out, okay, you did it once, will you do it twice? And being a young player, you get tested that way sometimes.
Keeping an eye on Francoeur, who has stolen 15 bases. Second only to Chris Getz. And that's grounded over to Martinez, who thought about going to third, but we'll take the sure out. Moustakas is out. It's a productive out, getting Francoeur over to third. Well, Royals fans, you can take batting practice with Royals alumni at Kauffman Stadium coming up on August 27th. The Royals alumni batting practice includes a light breakfast, t-shirt and shorts, an autographed baseball, and 4 tickets to a 2012 game. To purchase your batting practice package, call 816-504-4150. Tigers will bring the infield in for Brian Pena. Just a little bit inside at 97 miles an hour. Ryan struck out. Verlander got him swinging at a curve in the second inning. And that curve is fouled away, 1-1.
I kind of want to go to a breaking ball here to try to get Brian to hit the ball on the corner, and that'll keep the runner from scoring. I'm sure the Royals are probably going to be going contact here with 1 out and hoping that the ground ball takes one of the infielders 2 or 3 steps either way and give Francoeur an opportunity to score.
At the knees over the outside edge of the plate. That is a Hall of Fame pitch.
A Hall of Fame pitch, and you know what hitters do when they see that pitch? Just that. They look at it, but they can't do anything with it.
Stand and admire.
If you put the bat on, it's going to go foul. You're going to break your bat. It's just a perfect pitch.
And then a hard breaking ball down and in. Brian strikes out, so Verlander needed a strikeout, and he got it. That's his 6th.
That just really working both sides right there. The fastball down and away on the outside corner, and come back with a hard breaking ball on the inner half. That pitch is like an ace in tennis. You know, just can't do anything about it.
No walks, 6 strikeouts. And he's in with a strike to Escobar. Escobar, it says here on the scorecard, flied out to left field in the 3rd inning. But before that happened, he was hit by a pitch on his right forearm. Escobar argued, and Yost argued, and you can see why Escobar would be in pain. Trainer Nick Kenny came out to take a look at him. That's not a glancing blow. That's a direct shot to the arm. Trainer Nick Kenny wanted to look at Escobar. Phil Cuzzy, the home plate umpire, wouldn't let him. Told Nick Kenny to take a hike.
I've never seen that.
The disappointing part of the play is that Phil Cuzzy didn't ask for any help from another umpire. To Rayburn, and Verlander gets around the leadoff single. by Bluebell Ice Cream. July is National Ice Cream Month. Celebrate with the newest flavor, Dessert Trio. And there is no better day than today for ice cream and Dessert Trio. Temperature in the upper 90s, very little wind, so heavy air hanging over Kauffman Stadium. And a good game, 1-0 Tigers to the 6th inning. Jeff Francis has struck out 6 in 5 innings. Justin Verlander has struck out 6 in 5 innings. The Royals have actually out-hit Detroit 3-2. The Tigers in the 4th inning got a double from Casper Wells. Brennan Bosch singled him home, and then Francis went on to retire 6 in a row. To right field, and Brandon Inge is 0 for 2 today, 0 for his last 15. All right, Frank, you were on the All-Star team in 1982. You went with 4 teammates, and they were, as we look at our AT&T trivia question,
George Brett, Willie Wilson, Hal McRae, and Dan Quisenberg.
Good memory. And that All-Star game was in
Montreal.
Inside, ball 1 to Casper Wells. And how did you do in that game?
1 at bat, 3 pitches, strikeout.
Against
Mario Soto, Cincinnati.
Probably threw you a changeup at some point.
3 in a row.
3 in a row. Bert Blyleven, our colleague with the Minnesota Twins, and he's going into the Hall of Fame, had one of the best curveballs, if not the best curveball of his era. And you could say the same thing for Mario Soto with the changeup.
Very good changeup.
And I've read in recent years that when the Cincinnati Reds have a young player that they feel needs to add a changeup to his pitching arsenal, that they send him to Mario Soto.
Wow, he definitely had a good one.
Jeff Francis retired the first 9 today, and then Casper Wells leading off the 4th, double to left field. Brennan Bosch got him home, and that's the only run today. 3 balls, 2 strikes. So we're getting to that point of the game. Francis has thrown 83 pitches. He's been out in the heat, so his body, I'm sure, feels like he's thrown more than 83. And as I was talking about earlier, on a day like today, you know, this game's moving along. It's a low-scoring game, but the slower games, so many times you'd see a 3-2 game or a 4-3 game after 5 or 6 innings, and then everybody just slowly begins to melt on the field. That's a close pitch. Francis' first walk, and then the game gets out of hand, but so far things are smooth on both sides. And a runner at first with 1 out. Francis will pitch to Brennan Bosch. We remind you that today's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Inside to Brennan Bosch. Ryan Lefebvre with Frank White, Joel Goldberg, producer Kevin Schenk, director Steve Kurtenbach, associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson, and the producer of Royals Live is Jeff Graham. 1-1 on Bosch. He singled in Wells in the 4th inning, and that's the only run today. To center field. Melky back, all the way back, up against the wall to make the catch.
travel when it's warm like this, and Jeff left his ball up out over the plate, and Bosch drove to the deepest part of center field. And Cabrera goes back with probably one step to spare and makes a nice catch.
So Wells at first with 2 outs to Maglio Ordonez. He is grounded out to third, lost a hit on a diving play by Moustakas, and then flied out to right field. Wells is running, and Wells prevented that ball from going into center field. It looked like it may have gotten past Chris Getz and hit Wells on the leg. Otherwise, he might be on his feet and to third.
But Brian dropped his arm down, and the ball started to really tail down the line. Chris Getz did a good job, getting inside on this play. But you're right, Brian. It got under his glove, and had it not hit the runner, it had been in the center field.
And now Ordonez into center field. He didn't hit it very hard, so it takes Melky a little longer to get to it. Wells has scored both runs. And Maglio Ordonez has 3 RBIs in this series against the Royals.
Yeah, you're right, Brian. He didn't really hit this ball well. It got in on him a little bit, just forced it out into center field, and with 2 out, Bosch is running right away on the play, and he scores easily.
Francis gets Miguel Cabrera, who has flied to right field twice. This one to center field. Now Melky fighting the sun and makes the catch. Tigers get another run, and they lead 2-0.
Our contestant is David Crawford from Independence, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run this inning, David will win $4,500. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, David will win $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
And David, you'll get the top of the order. Chris Getz, Melky Cabrera, Alex Gordon. Justin Verlander has allowed 3 singles. Royals left 2 on base in the second inning. Got a leadoff single in the 5th. And Francoeur advancing all the way to third base. In fact, he was there with 1 out, but the Royals couldn't get him home. Getz his fly to right, grounded out to second base. One ball, 1 strike. We were telling you when Verlander was pitching in the bottom of the first inning about his great stretch of games covering his last 8 starts. A 0.84 ERA in those 8 games, a 179 opponent's batting average. He has not gone fewer than 7 innings over that stretch, so 7 innings or more, and he has allowed 1 earned run or less in 7 of those 8 starts. And the one start when he allowed more than 1 run, he gave up 2. Getz, I think he was tearing a page out of Scott Posednik's book, trying to slash the ball to the left side. The problem was the pitch was up and in. That wasn't a good pitch to try and do that with.
Very, very tough pitch.
7 strikeouts for Verlander. And we asked you earlier in our Sprint You Call It question, if we voted for a Cy Young winner in the first half, who would it be? It's not even close. So we'll give it to Verlander, 61%. The other 3 will concede. It's like during an election. I've never understood. They'll have in one state 4% of the votes counted, and they've already declared that that state goes to a certain candidate. No balls and 2 strikes on Melky. You ever notice that?
A lot of times. You know, Verlander, this guy, he throws a lot of pitches. And, you know, 5 times this year he's been over 120 pitches. I mean, he's been 132, 127, 126, 120, 129. I mean, that's a lot of pitches in there. And then right under that, there's 119. You know, it goes right on down the list, but nothing short of 100. I mean, he really goes at when he got the ball. I mean, he's old school. He keeps it till the game's decided.
Coming off 129 pitches. That was on Tuesday at the Angels, the game that he lost 1-0. Gave up only 1 run in 7 2/3 innings. Eric Ibar had an RBI double in the second, and that was it. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Melky.
So he's one of those guys that would say, what pitch limit? What is a pitch limit? I mean, he just says, give me the ball. I'm going to try to win the game.
Still 2-2. Every year it seems like the Tigers think that Verlander's going to get a little bit better, and this is by far his most dominant year, and you wonder how much better can he get. Career record that is 38 games above 500. He has 94 wins, so he should win his 100th game in the second half. And there's a base hit for Melky Cabrera, so he has a 9-game hitting streak, and the Royals have a runner at first with 1 out. Well, go to FoxSportsKansasCity.com, and as Derek Jeter picked up his 3,000th hit yesterday, you can join George Brett as he recalls his magical night when he even shocked himself with 4 hits and number 3,000. Steve Cameron tells the story. That's at FoxSportsKansasCity.com. Alex Gordon is grounded out and struck out. I've heard it said that the only way to beat guys like Verlander, well, maybe not the only day if you catch him on a bad day, but the best way to beat guys like this is with power. Because chances are you're not going to put 4 or 5 hits together. So you get a base runner on, you get a walk. These are the guys where you really have to find that one mistake and hope for a 2 or 3 run home run.
Well, you're right on that. You always expect a close game going in, and usually guys like Verlander don't beat themselves. And you're right. I mean, it's just one of those guys that, for some reason, and it's all about ability. I mean, he can control the game. He can control which way he wants the game to go. And a lot of pitchers don't have that ability.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Alex, who hit a 3-run home run last night.
I haven't talked to Verlander about this, but some pitchers I've talked to, they can look at your swing, and they can tell whether they have an advantage just by how you swing at a pitch, and they'll go right back to that pitch again.
And Alex called out 8 strikeouts for Verlander in the second time he has gotten Alex. You know, think about Verlander. He's at a point in his career, and I want to show the final out of the no-hitter back on May the 7th. Look at his reaction, Frank. Looks like a guy who threw a complete game, not a no-hitter, but Tigers, people connected to the Tigers will say that's what he expects when he takes them out. So, sure, there's a great thrill of throwing a no-hitter, but Justin Verlander these days, if he's not throwing a shutout or a complete game, well, that's below his expectations.
And he's got that. I mean, that's the mentality that a pitcher has to have. You know, we talk about pitching the quality starts. You know, Verlander's a guy that he pitches to win, and that's a big difference.
I remember we were here at the ballpark as we look at his career numbers. 2 no-hitters, 94 career wins. We were up having dinner before the night game here at Coleman Stadium and watched the final out of the no-hitter, and that's just really what struck me. I mean, there was no jumping up in the air, you know, thrusting the arms in the air, anything like that. I mean, it was just like, I threw a no-hitter. Well, first it was Miguel Cabrera and Melky Cabrera having fun over at first base, and now Victor Martinez has joined in on the fun.
Well, they saw him being back on his heels, so he says, "You're on your heels. Let me see if I can help you." Give him a little push right there.
Melky taking off on a pitch in the dirt. He didn't slide. So I don't know if he figured Avila would hang on to the ball instead of throwing. But he went in standing up.
Well, he got on this ball quickly and got the throw down there, and you know, that's one of those situations where you get a little careless and maybe take one step across the base. And if he'd done that, he'd been in big trouble.
The original and the real purpose for a slide is not to get to your destination quicker. It's to get to the destination as quickly as possible and being able to stop as quickly as possible. And he almost ran right through second base.
Yeah, it's hard to run that fast and stop right on top of the base without taking some extra steps like he almost did there. You know, what coaches always tell you, when in doubt, slide. He took a look at it. He took 2 looks at it.
I mean, that took everything he had to keep his left foot on the bag.
Everything.
Billy singled in the second inning, lined to center in the fourth. And as we showed you in the second, he has great numbers against Verlander. Batting average around 400. And a slider froze him for a strikeout. Verlander has 9 through 6 innings. dominating as Justin Verlander has been, but he's right behind him. It's been a big strikeout game for Francis, and we'll call him today's Miller Lite Taste Greatness moment.
Well, you're right, Brian. He's given up 2, but pitched very effectively. And you look at the outing today, he's gotten 6 strikeouts, and 5 of those strikeouts have been called third strikeouts.
It ties his season high. He struck out 6 Cardinals here at Kauffman Stadium on May 20th. And his career high is 10. He did that 4 years ago against the Dodgers. Justin Verlander, on the other hand, a little more dominating today with 9 strikeouts in 6 innings. And Verlander's allowed no runs on 4 hits. 2 balls and 1 strike on Victor Martinez, who is grounded out to third and flied out to right. Two and 2. When the series began, Victor Martinez was hitting .323, 4th best in the league. But in this series, 2 out of 14. And Escobar almost took a hit away from him. Instead, Martinez opens the inning with a base hit. So just his 3rd hit of the series. And the Tigers have their leadoff man on.
That's one of the tough things for an infielder to do, is go sideways and jump at the same time. And Escobar just wasn't able to get under this ball where he could take advantage of his whole height and just went off the tip of his glove with great effort going to its left.
And now the Tigers have some power coming up in Peralta and Rayburn, right-hand batters. So Ned Yost makes a Chevy call to the bullpen and brings in right-hander Lewis Coleman. In 6 innings, took a no decision. Same thing today, 2 runs in 6 innings, and the no decision is the best thing he can hope for as the Royals make a pitching change. We remind you that Pepsi Max is the official soft drink of the Fox Sports Kansas City broadcast booth and is also a proud supporter of the Royals 5K, benefiting Variety Children's Charity. You can run or walk, and it all benefits Kansas City kids. Pepsi Max, 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. Now, Lewis Coleman inherits a runner at first base with nobody out. Gets a swing and a miss from Johnny Peralta. An excellent first half for rookie right-hander Lewis Coleman. 26 games, an ERA just barely over 2, a 171 opponent's batting average. Martinez was running as Peralta fouls it back to the net.
think all the young Royals bullpen guys this year, Ryan, they're coming out of spring training. You didn't really know what to expect, and they all rose to the occasion. They, when they needed to make adjustments, they made the adjustments, and now to go into the All-Star break, they can. Let's see a wild pitch right here from Coleman. They can go back and just reassess the first half and go back to see when they had to make changes. Did they make them fast enough, and what will they have to do the second time around? But from a confidence standpoint, they all should be very confident going into the second half.
Here are the rookie reliever ERAs. Nate Adcock 4.91. Now this was a guy who was an A-ball last year. Coleman 2.08. Collins 3.74. Crow, who's going to the All-Star game, 2.13. Holland 1.08. And Teaford 2.30. And then you got Blake Wood, who's just in his second year in the big leagues, 2.89.
And Teaford is a guy that came up just for a few days, but made a big statement, by going 3 innings and not allowing a run. So I think he picked up his first save. So those are all pluses right there going forward. And he's a guy that I'm sure that Ned Yost would love to have in his bullpen on a regular basis at some point.
Felipe Paulino out there in the bullpen. So he would be available with the All-Star break coming up. Ball one to Ryan Rayburn. So after the wild pitch, Johnny Peralta was trying to get something to the right side and move Martinez over to third, but Coleman struck him out. And now Rayburn, who is glad that Jeff Francis is out of the game. Francis struck him out twice, both looking, both with fastballs. Coleman pitched on Thursday night, 2 scoreless innings. He faced Ryan Rayburn and struck him out. Looked like a swing, and it was. 1 ball, 1 strike. '85 strikeouts this year for Rayburn. Got the call. 1-2.
That breaking ball backed up on him. It didn't go across the plate like the other one. Just the spin just looped it right back inside, and that's what you got, a backup slider, and he got the corner.
Rayburn strikes out for the 3rd time today. So after the single from Victor Martinez, Coleman comes on and strikes out Peralta and Rayburn.
That's a great job on a rising fastball up out of the zone. Up in his eyes, but he can't catch up to it.
And now a left-hand batter, and the Royals will put Alex Avila on and then go after a struggling hitter, Brandon Inge, also a right-hand batter. Alex Avila would have an interesting conversation with Bobby Abreu on how to face Jeff Francis. Because he was seeing the ball about as well as Abreu does when he faces Jeff Francis.
Yeah, just sort of waving at that curveball.
So the Royals walk the starting all-star catcher. And now it'll be Coleman and Inge. Brandon Inge has lined to center field, deep center field, first time up Fly to right in the 6th. 0 for 2 today. 0 for his last 15 and batting 186. He has 1 home run and 204 at bats. He has hit as many as 27 home runs in the big leagues. And the last time he did that was just 2 years ago.
And you know, how do you get that far off? You know, how do you get that far off the mark in such a short period of time? I mean, it's almost like he's looking for everything middle in, and anything away, he's opening up a little too fast, and that makes your swing long. It makes that fastball faster.
And he's down, no balls, 2 strikes. Last year he had 13 home runs, but spent a lot of time on the disabled list. He had a broken left hand. But the year before that, 27 home runs. The year the Tigers went to the World Series, 2006, Inch had 27 home runs. Missed a slider badly. So Coleman strikes out the side. Still 2-0 Detroit. In the 4th and 6th innings, and behind the pitching of Justin Verlander. Today's a carsoup.com email the booth day, and Joel Goldberg is standing by. Hey, Joel.
Ryan, hi. We've got plenty of emails that have come in, so we'll see if we can get to some of those before we hit the All-Star break. Let's start here with Zach Sainai, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, from Blue Spring, says, will players use different size or weight bats depending on the pitcher, Frank?
Well, a lot of times if you don't think you can catch it with the fastball, then a lot of times they'll go with a shorter bat, and not necessarily any lighter, but just a little shorter, want to try to get in the strike zone a little bit faster. But I think if you're feeling good, you won't make that change.
All right, Bob Duran of Rose Hill, Kansas wants to know, when are we going to do away with umpires entirely and go with Fox tracks and video replay? I don't know that will happen to that extent. I don't think we're going to get robots behind the plate, but obviously reaction to Alcides Escobar being hit. You guys think that we'll get some more form of replay over the years, don't you?
Well, I think something like that is just simply one umpire asking the other umpire, what did you see? I mean, you want to be exact in what you call, and you want to be confident in what you call, but if there's any kind of question about it, then just ask the other umpires and see what you got to get, see what they saw, and then you make the decision from there. I don't like total instant replay. I think the game is slow enough already.
Lorraine Winslow would like to know, is the All-Star break enough time for players to really recharge and catch up from the grind? I should mention TJ McGinnis has already begun to catch up from the grind. He's on vacation, so he'll be really fully rested. But how about for the players, Frank?
Under the bus. Okay.
Wow. Hey, TJ, how does the transmission look from down there?
I would rather see it be a week, Joel. I think the Royals have 3 days, and last year 4 days, but I wouldn't mind 4 starting back up on Friday. I think that's enough time.
It seems unfair, too, guys, that some teams get 3 and some get 4. And I'm not saying that just because we're one of the teams this year that only gets 3, but that's a part of the season that everybody looks forward to recharge. Hosmer drives it to center, and running back to get it is Casper Wells. Second time that Hosmer has lost a hit on a good play in the outfield today. On one hand, everybody likes the long break, but then hitters especially come back and really feel like they can lose their timing over 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, I think if you go longer than 5 days, I think you do run that risk, and you got to always worry about your pitching and keeping those guys sharp. So someone's going to have to make a sacrifice and stay around and do their side work and things like that. But I kind of like it it's been in the past. 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Thursday, and start back up on Friday. I like that.
Now, I wasn't throwing TJ under the bus. I've had multiple emails. One happened to come from Lorraine wondering where TJ was. But, people need, when you read off all the names of the crew, Ryan, and then suddenly people hear, no TJ McGinnis, there's concern over this.
Yeah.
I mean, that
but
makes
he's
sense,
fine.
right?
TJ's
He's fine.
He went camping, right?
He went, I think, to Iowa.
A family
vacation
outing. An annual
That's
family
good.
get together.
It's a hot camping trip.
Yeah.
Beats being thrown under the bus.
That's true. Joel, when's your family camping trip this year?
I guess when the baseball season's over.
Now we say
week.
this because these are all things that we've already said to TJ's face before he left for this trip.
Definitely.
TJ got it pretty good as we were getting on the plane on Wednesday coming home from Chicago and realized that TJ wouldn't be here for this series. He got it pretty good, but all in fun.
I got to try to schedule that one next year.
Peralta behind second base, throws out Jeff Francoeur, who's 1 for 3, and there are 2 outs. What else do you have, Joel?
Well, we've got one from Susan Westmoreland, who wants to know exactly where the world of his own is located when Valverde is on the mound. I want to know how he holds all that water that he spits out when he comes out. I mean, it's like a gallon's worth.
It's impressive, no doubt about it.
Remember when Monty used to do that all the time?
It wasn't that much, though, was it?
Oh, I mean, all of his antics.
Monty had some movement on the mound. Monty was a wound tight, high energy guy on the mound. He was not like Joaquim Soria, who doesn't show anything on the mound. Monty was into it.
Hold on, let me check with him. Monty, what do you think?
It was just natural movement.
That's it. It was just Monty being Monty. But he did say if he needed to get into that world, he would have done it. He's mentioned that before. I think Monty went with that hairdo at one point, too.
He's got 300 saves.
Yes, sir.
Moustakas is singled and grounded out today. And hits that to right field, down around the end of the bat. Don Kelly just into the game, makes the catch. And that's 7 scoreless innings for Verlander. We go to the top of the 8th inning on a very hot day in Kansas City. Morgan Kramer hanging in there. No, not hanging in there. Here's the Panera American League scoreboard. CC Sabathia with a shutout, beating James Shields, and the Yankees run coming on a throwing error by James Shields. Toronto over Cleveland, so Detroit has an opportunity to get into first place if the Blue Jays hang on and the Tigers hang on. Boston in front of Baltimore. Boston's won 5 straight. Baltimore has lost 6 in a row. Minnesota 23-12 since the beginning of June. Oakland and Texas hooking up in Arlington. Texas has won 6 in a row. A 1-game lead over the Angels. The Angels are home against Seattle. They have Dan Herron on the mound, and they trail 2-0. And Frank was bringing up during the break when we saw that Aaron Crow was coming in, that Crow pitching today could be one of 2 scenarios.
Well, one could be that just a pre-tune-up for Tuesday night, just in case he does get in, but also getting ready in case he doesn't pitch on Tuesday, and then he'll have some pitches in under his belt going into the second half of the season. Because I don't really think they throw sides in the All-Star game. They just either you're pitching or you're not pitching.
And even if they do, I mean, it's a side. There's no batter there, and the effort and the emotion is not the same.
Right.
Bunted foul by Casper Wells. Aaron Crow did pitch on Thursday. Gave up a home run in the 9th inning to Don Kelly. So if he did not pitch today, and if he doesn't pitch in the All-Star game, then that would have been a long stretch. That would be possibly a whole week, Thursday to Thursday, without pitching in a game. And down goes Casper Wells, who has scored both runs for the Tigers today. One away in the 8th inning. Hey, bring your group out to Kauffman Stadium, and if you do, you will save big. Groups of 20 or more get a significant discount compared to single game ticket prices. And for those group tickets, call 816-504-4040 or visit royals.com/group. Fans using good judgment today, and as we look around Kauffman Stadium, and especially in the lower bowl area, many fans finding empty seats in the second tier, which is below the overhang, so they have some shade. So that part of the lower bowl is densely populated as the lowest part continues to thin out. 95 degrees at first pitch with a heat index of 105. Right to Hosmer. Barely had to move. Brennan Bosch is 1 for 4. And that'll bring up Don Kelly. Bosch in the 4th inning. Maglio Ordonez in the 6th, driving in the Tigers' runs. And Jim Leyland going with an upgrade on defense as the Royals batted in the bottom of the 7th inning, and that meant Don Kelly going into right and Danny Worth taking over at second base. Up the line, Hosmer, great play to Aaron Crow in time. We're running out of space on the videotape for all the great defensive plays by the Royals in this series. And Eric Hosmer with perhaps the best of the series.
Montgomery getting ready for Boulevard-Royals Live. Jeff Francis pitching well again, 4th straight game. He has allowed 3 runs or less. Only problem for him going up against Justin Verlander. We'll break down that pitching matchup, highlights, reaction, and much more coming up on Boulevard-Royals Live. Ryan?
And the Tigers behind Justin Verlander have made more defensive changes, defensive upgrades. Austin Jackson has moved into center field. Don Kelly, who just went into the game last inning in right, he shifts over to left. And Casper Wells, who was in center, goes over to right. Royals have 4 singles against Justin Verlander. He has struck out 9. Brian Pena, Alcides Escobar, and Chris Getz coming up in the 8th inning. Verlander has dominated, but he hasn't been unhittable. The Royals, few as they may be, have had some scoring opportunities. They had 2 base runners in the 2nd inning, but Verlander was able to strike out Brian Pena. In the 5th inning, the Royals had a runner at 3rd base with 1 out. And at that point, it was a 1-0 Tigers lead, so the tying run at 3rd base, but Verlander struck out Pena and got Escobar to ground out to 2nd base. So the Royals haven't had scoring opportunities all over the place, but they've had a couple of chances. And the way Verlander is going now, if they were to score 1 run, that would seem like a big inning.
Well, good pitchers like Verlander, you're going to get that 1 or 2 opportunities, but they also had the ability to shut them down. So you got to make one of those opportunities count and keep the game close.
So his next pitch will be number 100. There is no activity in the Tigers bullpen at all. Everybody sitting back and relaxing, enjoying Justin Verlander's work. The tarp is still on the mound in the bullpen. And pitch number 100 is outside, ball 1. Escobar is flied to left, grounded out to 2nd base. Looks like we'll see Joakim Soria in the top of the 9th inning, no matter what the Royals do in this inning. Escobar, in a controversial play in the 3rd inning, was hit by a pitch, but the home plate umpire Phil Cuzzi didn't pick it up. So Escobar had to go back to the plate and eventually flied out to left field. Still 1-2.
Well, Escobar kind of beating himself up today a little bit. Got the fastball on the forearm and he fouls the ball off his foot. And it's taking a little bit of time getting back in there.
That is out of play. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes. Royals will open the 2nd half in Minnesota on Thursday. The Tigers will get a 4-day break, and they will be at home against Chicago. Royals are in the middle of a stretch of 14 straight games against teams in the Central Division. Two and two. That Toronto-Cleveland game is now in the bottom of the 9th inning at Progressive Field, with Cleveland down by 6, 7-1. So there's there's a good chance today the Tigers will leave Kansas City and go into the All-Star break in first place by a half game. But the Royals aren't done yet. Escobar has a 1-out single, and that brings up the top of the order.
Well, real good at bat by Alcides. He really battled hard in this at bat line. Did a good job just taking this break curveball and catching it before it broke and drove it back down through the middle. Just stayed right out over it. Got through it real well and just followed. Just tracked that curveball really well down that at bat. Well, Chris Getz is overdue for a home run. 498 at bats without a home run, so it'd be a good way to end the first half. Get one you can handle and crank it out.
So Valverde really in no hurry. The call probably went to the bullpen just for him to start getting loose. Ball one to Chris Getz. 0 for 3. One of his outs is a strikeout. Verlander at 107 pitches, but as Frank pointed out, it is routine for him to go 120 pitches or more. Two and 0.
And they just got a pretty good combination here. 2-0 with Escobar on first base, and Getz is in a situation where he might get a fastball. So if he feels so inclined, he can put a hit and run on right here and try to open things up for him.
Not running, and it's 3 balls and no strikes. Verlander hasn't walked anybody. In fact, if my research is correct, that's the first time he's gone to a 3-ball count today. 1 out in the 8th inning. 3-1. Don't take that to the bank, but just running through the pitch count here and looking for 3-ball counts. I don't see one before this matchup with Getz. Now Escobar runs, and it's lined into center field. So Escobar first to third. Chris Getz got his fastball. Tying run is at first with 1 out.
Well, they had the benefit of the 3-1 count there. He knew he was going to get a fastball. Escobar takes off, and Chris Getz does what he does best. Just stays on top of the ball, drives it back through the middle.
You know, just watching the radar gun this inning for Verlander, most of his fastballs have been 92 or 93. So on one hand, yes, this is a pitcher who's used to going 120 pitches or more. But remember, it's 98 degrees out there today, so his body may feel like he has gone past that number. This is not the same velocity that we saw earlier in the game.
That's true, and I think Jim Leland went out to kind of get an idea of how he feels. I'm sure he's concerned about the heat too and the number of pitches, but he wanted to hear what his pitcher had to say, and that's why he went out there, and that's why Verlander's still in the game.
First and third for Melky Cabrera, and he takes down and away ball 1. This is the 138th consecutive start for 38th. Little difference between 138 and 38. 38th consecutive start for Verlander with, here's where the 100 comes in, with at least 100 pitches. 1 ball, 1 strike on Cabrera. Melky singled in the 6th inning, giving him a 9-game hitting streak. And I'm sure you can hear all the box from here at Kauffman Stadium up to the satellite and back down into your living room. Melky chasing one in the dirt. Down 1-2.
Well, Melky tends to get a little bit tougher with 2 strikes and put the ball in play, and Verlander is still concerned about Chris Getz over there at first base.
And Melky hits it to left field. Kelly gets behind it. Escobar tagging and holding. And there are 2 down.
See, Kelly gets behind this ball, and that's what third base coaches look for, is how the fielder sets up when he catches that ball. And Kelly got behind it, and Eddie Rodriguez felt he's going to get a good throw off by the way he set up behind that ball and held Escobar at third base.
Alex has struck out twice and grounded out against Verlander, and now just 4 out of 26. But one of those hits is a home run. Alex hit a 3-run home run last night in the Royals' biggest inning, a 5-run third. Hit that home run off of lefty Charlie Furbush, and then Furbush was lifted from the game. In for a strike, 0-1.
Well, that's the one pitch that's giving Alex trouble today, is that curveball. He gives up on it a little bit too early, and it's kind of like almost like it's coming in back door.
And once again, the fake to third, look to first. Verlander aware that there is good speed at first base. And Chris Getz represents the tying run, and with 2 outs, if he can get the right jump, would love to get into scoring position for Alex Gordon. It is way inside, and that's back up to 97 miles an hour. 1 ball, 1 strike. So much for the velocity dipping here in the 8th inning. Verlander has 2 shutouts this year. One of those was the no-hitter against Toronto on May the 7th. Normally a manager will give a pitcher the benefit of the doubt, even though he has a high pitch count, if he is going for a shutout. Now Getz runs. Gordon swings and misses. Getz has a stolen base. That's his 17th, so the tying run is in scoring position.
Yeah, Chris is definitely a constant threat to steal a base, and he's been stealing big bases late in the game for the Royals also. He didn't get what you call a great jump, but he made up a lot of ground after Verlander went with the hot leg kick, and he was easily in the second base. It was a very good throw by Avila, but Chris Getz had a good enough jump to beat it in there.
And Alex hits a slow roller to third. Brandon Inge throws high. Gordon is safe. A run scores. And the Royals are still breathing in the 8th inning.
You see Inge comes in and really just could have set his feet a little bit better, but didn't do it. It threw off the right foot, and the ball went high. And Martinez wasn't able to make the tag. This is Verlander's reaction to the play. And Escobar just shots off third base. Easy score for him.
Verlander coming off the mound looked at Brandon Inge and said, "Hey, you're all right. Don't worry about it." A Chevy call to the bullpen. The Royals have gotten Verlander out of the game. Head to StubHub, where you'll find the seats you want and the freedom to choose where you want to sit. StubHub is the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Kansas City Royals. And there are the StubHub upgrade seats. A couple of fans realizing they're on TV. Frank, here's Justin Verlander to Brandon Inge after he was removed from the game.
Just trying to keep him in the game. You know, that one's over. Don't worry about it. We still got a one-run lead, and let's get ready to make the next play.
So it's Joaquin Benoit to face Billy Butler. That's 9 unearned runs allowed by the Tigers in the last 2 games. A little bit high to Billy. So Verlander had 119 pitches and facing a hitter, or about to face a hitter, who has given him as much trouble as any hitter he has faced in his career. Billy singled against him in the second, lined to center in the fourth, so good reason to get Verlander out of there and get a fresh arm in Benoit. 2 balls and no strikes. If we go back to the game on Friday, Billy had a big opportunity in the bottom of the 9th inning. The Royals down by 2, facing Jose Valverde. Came to the plate, run at second base, potential winning run at first, and Valverde got him on a fly ball to right field. So Billy can atone for that right here. 2-1.
Didn't get a fastball 2-0 right there, so Billy held up. But you know, that's what these good pitchers do. They can throw those breaking balls in good hitting counts. So Billy's got to kind of look for his pitch to next pitch. You can look for your pitch the first 2 strikes. When he goes to 2 strikes, now you got to open his zone up and try to put it in play.
And a fastball gets the outside. Not according to Fox Tracks. Billy's been at odds with Phil Cuzzi today. He was upset when he was called out on strikes in the 6th inning facing Verlander.
Oh, that's a big mess right there.
Billy 1 for 2 with a double and 2 walks against this pitcher. that Alex might take off and get the go-ahead run in scoring position.
The way they've been throwing Billy outside there, I think he's going to have to look out there. They haven't want to come inside, and they don't want to give him a chance to hit the ball at the ballpark to his power, so they're going to go right back out there.
Still 2-2. Oh. Fan in wild pursuit of that foul ball. And as he was closing in on it, he stumbled. Looks like he skinned up his left knee.
For the price of a baseball.
Alex not running, and it's 3-2. Now Alex will be running. Well, Billy could hit a gap. Royals could take the lead. All Verlander can do now is try and cool off in front of the fan. Royals with no runs, 4 hits in 7 innings against Verlander. They get an unearned run here in the 8th on a throwing error by Brandon Inge.
Been watched all those fastballs to Billy's been they've been away, but they've been kind of up in his zone. So if he leaves one up out over the plate a little bit, then that's the ball Billy can drive into right center field.
Alex runs and Billy strikes out. That was ball 4. So the Royals get 1. We go to the 9th inning. Up the defense, and Joaquin Benoit, who holds the lead, 2-1 Tigers as we go to the 9th inning. Let's take a look at today's Chevy play of the game.
Well, this is Eric Hosmer making a diving play to the line, and then Aaron Crow does a great job of getting over to first base and setting himself and being ready for this throw. It's an outstanding play by Eric Hosmer.
And it is Joaquin Soria in the 9th inning. So, like Aaron Crow, getting some work before the break. After losing the closer's job for 1 week, Soria finishing the first half 8 for 8 in save opportunities.
What a turnaround.
In the Tigers' 2 wins on Thursday and Friday, they took 1-run leads into the 9th inning. Man.
Wow.
And then they got a run in the 9th on Thursday and Friday to take 2-run leads into the 9th.
Oh, that ball hit him just perfect to get that mask up off his face. You don't see that very often at all.
And you can almost read Brian's mind as he just stayed in the squatted position. Why did I become a catcher?
Nobody else wanted to.
Why am I doing this to myself? And he gets hit on the very next pitch.
Yeah, that one's not too nice. That's a big curveball.
Uh-huh. Sometimes there are no words. And when there are, they are very high-pitched. 2-2 on Cabrera, 0 for 3, 2 out of 14 in this series with the Royals with 1 RBI. Down he goes. So the Tigers are 3 outs away from taking 3 out of 4 with Miguel Cabrera not right in the middle of everything.
Hey, Brian Kelly had a tough at bat right there, one right off the face of the mask, and here's another one that took the mask right off of his face. So that's two shots to the head right there, and here's a foul ball that comes underneath, and he just that's add insult to injury, and then finally strike 3. He earned that one definitely. And I tell you what, this has got to be a major victory for the Royals against Miguel Cabrera. I mean, they've really held him down in this series. A 4-game series, they've really held him down good.
He had a .376 career average at Kauffman Stadium when the series began. A 4-game series, 1 RBI. Now it's 2-0 on Victor Martinez. Two and 1. You know, not only is Joaquin back to controlling his fastball and getting the outs that we're accustomed to seeing, but we're seeing the hitters once again not being able to react on his fastball, like they're just not seeing it out of his hand.
Yeah, he's got the hardest 91 mile an hour fastball that is. I mean, he kind of jumps on him.
Well, just those last 2 pitches there, one called a strike, the other one a little bit inside, but you could just tell by Victor Martinez's reaction that it's just not seeing it, or not seeing it good enough to take a swipe at it. And now he's jammed and pops it up. Escobar shading his eyes with his glove, and Martinez is 1 for 4. So we'll have the privilege of seeing Jose Valverde in the bottom of the 9th inning. And the Royals will send up Eric Hosmer, Jeff Francoeur, and Mike Moustakas. And that's a little bit outside.
That's when you hear all the fans yell, "Come on, Blue."
He's wearing blue today. So it applies on this day, not every day. Phil Cuzzy with the responsibility of working the plate on a very hot day in Kansas City. Two and 1. It is 93 miles an hour, but a swing as if it was a 97 mile an hour fastball.
And it probably appears that way. You know, Joaquin Soria, he goes to 2-0, and he throws a breaking ball and a hitting count to get 1 strike, and then he comes back with that fastball on the outside corner, which makes it appear even faster.
And that's popped up, but it will be in the lower seats, and we stay at 2-2. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. Johnny Peralta will be on that plane that Joel was talking about earlier today. Justin Verlander chartering a plane from Kansas City to Phoenix. Peralta found out on Friday that he'd be going to the All-Star game. Derek Jeter didn't feel up to it because he was just on the DL. Then he went out and got 5 hits yesterday. Melky cuts it off, and that holds Peralta to a single. So a good first half for Johnny Peralta, hitting right around .315 with 14 home runs, so 10 away from his previous career high. He hit 24 home runs in '05. And I would think a season of redemption for him to be traded away from the only organization he'd ever played for, the Indians, last year, as they felt like it was time for Asdrubal Cabrera to be the everyday shortstop. The Indians have a young player that they just called up from AAA to play third base, Lonnie Chisenhall, so there was no room for Peralta. Finishes the year last year with the Tigers, and he's an all-star this year.
But definitely an all-star, and I talked with Rafael Belliard about him, and he said that the one thing he had to do when he came over, and they worked on it this morning, first he lost some weight, and then they had to get him in what they considered was shortstop shape, and then they felt like the weakness that he had was going to his left, so they spent a lot of time on balls to his left, going up the middle, and making that play to first base.
Still 1-2 on Danny Worth, who hits for the first time in this series. Took over at second base for Ryan Rayburn in the 7th and bats for the first time here in the 9th. And a slow curve is pulled foul.
I think this year probably more than most, you find some players who have been in the league a while and done well in the league, and all of a sudden fell on hard times, and some found themselves released, some found themselves being traded. But I think in this year, Ryan, I think a lot of guys some guys have rededicated themselves to the game. You know, they've gotten comfortable, and now they said, hey, I'm heavier, I need to lose some weight if I want to keep going. Cabrera lost weight, Francoeur lost weight, Peralta lost weight. And I'm sure there are more guys in the league that have done this, but I think they really feel like, okay, what's the next best thing for me to do? It's get in the best shape I can, and then go out and try to rededicate myself to the game.
Long battle between Joaquin Soria and Danny Worth. Second round pick of the Tigers in 2007. And that's blooped into center. Melky coming up and makes the play. Down to the bottom of the 9th, Hosmer, Francoeur, and Moustakas against Jose Valverde. That way, Bruce. That's about all you can do on a day like today. Yeah, Donnie Miller, he's soaking in the sun rays. He wishes this thing would go all day. Morgan. There you go. And when it goes down your chin and all over your shirt, that doesn't matter on a day like today. So thanks for hanging in there today, guys, and giving us all the good pictures of the Royals and the Tigers. And here we go. Jose Valverde trying to save a third game in this series. The first two saves were not easy ones for him on Thursday with a 3-1 lead in the bottom of the ninth. He got the first two outs, then a walk and a single before getting Mike Moustakas to end the game. Friday night, the Royals loaded the bases down by 2 in the ninth inning, but Valverde got Billy Butler, and now it's a one-run game with Hosmer, Francoeur, and Moustakas coming to the plate. And Hosmer takes ball one.
And Valverde's had those 2 runs to work with in the last couple games too. Right now he's only got 1 to work with, and let's see if he pitches any different today.
Hosmer 0 for 3, but he is lined to the outfield twice. He faced Valverde in the game on Thursday and walked. And that's lined to left field. A long run for Kelly. It's over his head. So Hosmer, who has had so many big hits for the Royals late in games in this first half, does it again. And the tying runs at second base with nobody out.
Well, he does a good job taking a high fastball and driving it to left field down the line. And this ball is hit so hard it gets over Kelly's head. But you can see how he got through that pitch. Great extension. And Kelly throws as hard as he can, but the ball gets over his head and rolls around a little bit. And Eric Hosmer stands at second base with a double.
Hosmer had been 0 for 12. And it's just his second hit of the series, but he picked a great spot. And now it's up to Francoeur, Moustakas, and Pena to get him home. Good swing, fouled it back to the screen. Francoeur singled in the ninth inning against Valverde on Thursday. We did not see him on Friday. Overall now 2 out of 8 against the Tigers closer. A broken bat and a foul ball. We mentioned it on Thursday, mentioned it again on Friday, and the Tigers' overall ERA out of the bullpen is not impressive. It is the second highest ERA in the league, but the Tigers still have not given up a lead all year that they've had after 7 innings. And Valverde is 23 out of 23 in save opportunities this year for Jim Leyland, trying to tie his career high of 24 in a row. He accomplished that last year, and it was the Royals who ended that streak. A little bit inside. Justin Verlander, 7 2/3 innings, 1 run. It was unearned, and he didn't allow that until the 8th. No walks, 9 strikeouts for Verlander, going for his 12th win this year. Joaquin Benoit got the final out of the 8th, and now it's in the hands of Valverde. Inside again, 2 balls, 2 strikes. It is a final in Cleveland. Toronto has defeated the Indians 7-1. So the Tigers, if they hang on here, they could go into the All-Star break with a 1/2 game lead in the Central The Royals, however, have other plans. Still 2-2. Hosmer kind of dancing around at second base, like just trying to get the right jump and get that tying run over to third with nobody out.
Well, you just never know. They're so unpredictable on that base running, but I mean, he timed that one pretty good if he was going to go. And Valverde's not doing a good job making him come to a complete stop before he makes the pitch.
Royals have one stolen base today. That was Getz in the 8th inning. 92 to lead the American League. Hosmer a much shorter lead, and Valverde noticed him jumping around the pitch before, and just going to remind Hosmer that he's aware of him. Fastball up and in. So he really stayed in on Francoeur. That's 11 strikeouts for the Tigers, 9 for Verlander, and now 1 each for Benoit and Valverde. It was Mike Moustakas who made the final out on Thursday, with the tying run at second base against Valverde, a fly out to left field in the 5th inning, or the 2nd inning today, against Justin Verlander, singled to put an end to an 0 for 21. And Hosmer does go to third. Avila's throw is in time. Boy, it sure looked like he got his left hand in there. Eddie Rodriguez, third base coach, walking towards Tom Hallion, who just put his right hand out to Eddie Rodriguez as if to say, don't bother.
We'll take a good look at it right here. This is a better angle on it. Oh, he blocked his hand off. Like his foot, I think his leg blocked his hand off the base right there.
Well, he must have tagged his leg, because from that angle it looked like his hand arrived before the tag did.
The Ants might have put that knee down in front of the base to keep that hand out of there.
And a ground ball from Moustakas to Johnny Peralta, so that's a big play. Valverde celebrates with a dance near the mound, and the Tigers celebrate the first half by finishing in first place. So Verlander wins his 12th. It's also his 12th career win against the Royals. 2-1 Detroit. We'll be right back.